All right. We've got Adam Miller, Old House Adam.
Yeah.
You're kind of like a celebrity around town.
So. Yeah.
You probably have the most TikTok followers of anybody in Concord.
I know. I need to post more. I've sort of been falling off lately a little bit.
You should.
I know. I give you the advice. I'm like, you got to post all the time, nonstop. And then I'm like,
right before TikTok gets shut down.
yeah. Well, I got Instagram. My Instagram's pretty good. What's yours at now?
Almost 11,000.
That's good.
I'm not even close to you, but we're getting there.
You will. You get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, in this year, I want to do. It's hard because we're doing like a to stream show, me and a buddy.
Yeah.
So it's hard to like prep for all that content and still, film, edit, and post myself. It's crazy. You know how it is.
It's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work.
It is
We
a
got
lot of work.
5 job sites. We got investment properties. We got tenants.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. It's cool though because TikTok opened all that for me, and so I need to like get back and start.
It's like your roots.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we've got crazy projects, that I wouldn't have considered doing if it wasn't for TikTok. And some of it I was like, this is just going to be shock value. And like, I was like, if I could do this, it'd be cool. Like people would enjoy it.
It's good content.
It is good content. So it's weird to base business decisions on like content.
It is wild.
It is.
So we talked briefly.
Yeah.
TikTok famous. You gave a little snippet into what you're doing today. Who were you before you started doing the old home restoration TikTok stuff?
So the old houses were always like a hobby. I was like super into old houses and renovating the homes I lived in. And then when COVID hit, like a lot of people, I just was like, I need something to do. And I was like, I had this really awesome house on Union Street. And so I started fixing it up and I was like, Jessica, I want to document this like during COVID or whatever. And then all of a sudden, boom, 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 like, we're getting all these views. And I'm like, how do I keep this going? How do I pivot it? So it's like flip house, So then I was like, you remember the first house I flipped? I mean, it was a dumpster.
Yeah.
And now I probably wouldn't go after a house like that because I'm like, it's just, it was every single day, all day long, way over budget on all this stuff. And then, of course, we still keep like high design when we do a flip or do these properties. But now we get to offset it with like sponsors and, we've gotten really savvy about like saving money or, the subs are coming in and saving me time so I can make money other places. And makes a lot more sense now than when I was just, winging it.
Yeah.
So
I remember that house. I remember walking through it. Wholesaler sent it out. And I'm like, this place needs to be torn down.
Yeah.
And then I stumbled across you on a TikTok post. And I was like, this guy is crazy.
It was
He's restoring this house.
Dude, it was legitimately the ugliest house I've ever seen. It was
rough.
It just looked like somebody took a bunch of plywood. But then when you walked in, you're like, oh, there was a porch here.
Yeah.
Like somebody just covered the whole house in like plywood.
Yeah.
There were snakes in the walls. We found the grenade. I mean, it was.
You found a grenade?
We found the grenade. It turned out to be a dummy grenade. But I pulled up one day and the cops were. So I guess we were cutting down a tree and like they dropped it in a yard. So I thought somebody called the police on us because we dropped, a tree in their yard. It was like an empty lot. The house burned down. And there was a pit. Like it was the whole thing. There was like this pit, like random pit. And so they dropped trees all over it. And the guy came out that owned it, and he goes, oh, there's a pit here. Be careful. And I'm like, they had already covered up the pit, and they didn't ask me. And so there was they found a grenade. They covered up this guy's pit.
Oh, gosh.
And so I'm like, dude, you should let us fill that pit in. And he's like, no, I want the pit. It's like some pit. It could be like a gold mine. I was like, dude, that's an old septic. It's not safe. A kid's going to fall in it. You should let us cover it up. He's like, no. And then I was like, oh, I got to dig out this random pit to nowhere. It was like an old septic. He thought it was like an entrance to a gold mine. Yeah. And so I'm serious. And so I could finally convince him. I was like, dude, I saw there was poo in there. There wasn't, we covered it up. And so we hauled off all the trees, and then we ended up grading the guy's lot because he had like parts of foundation and stuff, so he was really happy. Um, but yeah, so but that house was it's not something I probably should have like. Now it would be hard to like allocate resources to it, but during that time we were able to do it, and
You had a lot more time on your hands then.
we did.
Yeah.
Yeah, because and I had a different mentality then too. And I think a lot of people, they go into flipping and they're like, I'm gonna make money to live on and flip, and then be able to roll that money into the flips, and it just can't do it.
Yeah.
You just can't do it. So now we have the contracting side, we live on that, and then all the investment stuff, just goes into more investment stuff.
Yeah.
So if we finish a project, we can keep it or sell it, but then we're like snowballing it into the next one, next one, and next one. And so it's like when we finished that one, what was that, like 3 years ago? We might have had like $100 and something thousand like net worth, and now we've made all these deals. So we might have a small portfolio, in real estate world, but it's probably a couple $1 million worth of real estate that we're kicking around.
It's crazy cool how in such a short period of time, that snowball effect where it just starts with one, and now look at where you're at today. It's pretty cool to see.
Well, it's information, right? Because I've come by your office before and I've been like, hey, I'm trying to put this deal together. It's crazy. And you're like, that would be nuts if you could get it. And we've sort of thrown ideas together.
Yeah.
And like when I was doing an owner finance deal, you're like, here's how I would structure it. And you showed me like the amortization charts and like, gave me some arsenals and like, you know what I mean? Like you gave me weapons in my arsenal.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, now I can pull this out of pocket. And so now when I go to deals, it's not just let me borrow hard money. It's, hey, you don't want to pay taxes, right? So let's look at this. Or you don't want to completely relinquish the property because you've got FOMO. You're afraid that it's going to go up in value. So why don't you keep 5% of the, of the building, and then owner finance us the rest. We'll give you $100K down, and we get low interest, we get low entry point, and we're able to raise on it because we didn't bring much. So if I raise the $100K on $1 million property, then I still get to keep like 90% of it.
Yeah.
So it just makes sense.
Have you always been business savvy or entrepreneurial, or was there like a noticeable event that like sparked your change?
I mean, I got out of the military because I didn't know who the next boss was going to be, right? Like I picked up rank very quick. And then I remember I like came back from leave and some general came and they were like, oh, now the general said if anybody gets caught driving, on a cell phone, you get an NJP, which is like you get like locked in your room for 2 weeks and like you can only eat like at the mess hall, and like it's terrible. And you have to like do like manual labor, and they don't pay you for that time period.
Oh, geez.
And so I had that. I was getting ready to pick up sergeant, and they put me on NJP because I missed some safety brief, and you're not allowed to talk on base. And I was like, that was just a terrible experience. I had bad leadership. They could have avoided all this. Like nobody would listen to me. I'm like, hey, I didn't know. Cool. I won't do it now. And so when I got out of the military, I just really didn't want to work for anybody else. So, I would teach art lessons, and I, started screen printing, and just sort of, the screen printing, I grew into a pretty big business. I think when we shut it down, we were doing like $500,000 or $600,000 in revenue.
Nice.
And we did everybody. We did all the events, but then COVID hit, and you don't have any breweries open right now. You don't have any 5Ks. There's no schools. Like everybody that uses T-shirts were like,
yeah,
what are they going to do? I mean, they're going to like fire them out of a cannon to like people on the streets. I mean, there was no way to get like volume, and we were set up for volume. So
yeah,
it just never came back.
Was the home that you guys were remodeling, was that the first house that you did? Or
No. So when Jessica and I got married, her dad had several rental properties. And one of them like didn't have a roof on part of it. And so he was like, we wanted to rent it. Like we loved the house. We wanted to rent it, but it didn't have a roof. And so I was like, I'll put a roof on it. And so I went on YouTube and I literally like learned to put a roof on a house. Like
Nice.
This was like 13, 14 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's been inspected like 3 times since, like, because it's changed hands and it's the same. I mean, the roof, same exact roof in 14 years.
That's a good YouTube
So
video.
I did a good, yeah.
You guys send me
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I mean, some of the profiles on it lacked a little bit of, it was like very flat, like pitch, but they still have it like that. And the house sold. It's the one on Georgia that sold for like, this crazy number for a small house. It's like 2,600 square feet or something. And I think it recently sold for like, it's like 500, 525 or something.
Oh, wow.
The one right there, the brick one, the white brick.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? So that was the first house we had ever messed around with. And it was pretty bad. And I remember somebody walking in there one day, like, how are you going to do this? This is nuts. Like, but we put a new kitchen in it. That was my first kitchen I ever put in a house. Like, gutted the studs, sheetrocked it back myself, like everything. Like, this was before like there was DIY, like Instagram and TikTok and all that stuff. And I always wanted to do YouTube, but my attention span was too short. So it's like, I'm not making a 10-minute YouTube video, but I can make a 15-minute TikTok, because that was all you could do when I started TikTok. It was like 15 seconds or 15-second TikToks. And then they 30 seconds, 60 seconds. I think you can do like 10 minutes now, but
What's holding you back from doing YouTube?
I mean, I've got a decent following on YouTube. I think I got like 87,000 like on YouTube.
Yeah.
But it's all from shorts. So it's the conversion is hard. And then like like I know for a fact, like if you're putting out on YouTube, it's just consistency. I mean, that's social media in general. Like if you're consistent, you're going to grow. I don't care what you're doing. I watched a girl like eating paper or whatever. She made like a pot. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't matter if you'll find the audience. Like if you keep doing it, you're consistent, it will like eventually be, oh, this group loves this girl eating paper or whatever. And apparently I'm on that group of people that just like.
Do you follow this girl that eats paper?
Yeah. Her name's Paper Eats. She's very talented because she makes like these I'm going to send you the links to it.
That sounds great.
Have you seen it? You haven't seen it? Dude, it's nuts. That's what you need, one of those screens.
We need that
pull it
tea
up,
in
Jeff. Pull it up. What's that guy's name? It was Rogan's guy. It was like,
oh, geez. So
yeah.
After your first one that you did, do you feel like there was any like limiting beliefs that you had that were holding you back from doing more business or investing in yourself?
Yeah. Just the fact that I did all the work. I didn't have a team. I mean, that's really it. It's now I can move through a property or project pretty quick. I know like it's going to take me this amount of time. This guy can do this, and half the time I use these guys so much that they can show up early or like, you know what I mean? Like we're getting more of the habit of being ahead of schedule than 2 months behind it.
That's great.
And then there's times where like we'll have to juggle, like on electrical. Like if we had a bid come in, it was like 14 grand. Then I had another guy that could do it for 6, but I'm like, it's going to take like weeks longer. I was like, how many weeks of this guy versus that guy can equal like my holding cost, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, for that amount of money at 2 grand on one of these projects, that's like, it's like 5 months. So like, he's not going to take 5 months. So he took 5 weeks. Normally it'd probably take us, 4 days to do what he did, but I knew it. I was like, he'll do it. It'll be good. The price will be right, but it's going to take forever. So we are faster, but we're also better at like saving money and judging, and we know what things could cost or should cost. And, the guys that, we can call in if we need a hand too.
Yeah, that's great. So with all like the job sites that you have going on, sounds like you're juggling a lot.
Yeah.
What are some disciplines that you practice that keep you sharp, keep you going each day?
I hired a runner. Like that's my biggest, like just somebody that just runs like job site to job site.
Yeah.
Picks up, like even if I have another contractor I'm working up with, I'm like, use my guy, send the stuff. It's like, it's one of those things where you don't realize like how much time you're spending just grabbing stuff.
Yeah.
Like, we're missing something at a job site, and the guys want to leave, or you've seen it. I mean, it's like they'll send you the wrong list or whatever, but then it's like, oh, we needed, 2x6s, and you got us 2x8s, or vice versa, right? And they're like, get it over here. We have to go, and it's like, why don't you? And I'm always like, just go to Lowe's. They're like, no, you bring,
You bring.
yeah, you bring, and then I'm like, fudge, man. And so Chris, he runs and he picks stuff up. And
So Chris runs all of your errands for you, job
dude,
site to job
that's
site.
awesome, yeah.
That's great.
And he's getting trained now where he can like go and inspect stuff, and like I'll send him with
Yeah.
the check, and he'll look over stuff. I mean, it's that's hard. That's one of the hardest things, is just being able to look while somebody's working, and when they finish, and knowing, like, because there's a lot of things that go on top of it sometimes.
Yeah.
So that's probably a drawback, is just learning like the ins and out of everybody's trade, because you have to,
Yeah.
I mean,
So that sounds like a really like practical thing that's helped you out, having
Yeah.
a runner.
yeah.
But from like a mindset standpoint, because
Ooh.
as a business owner, I know that it can be overwhelming. Like the stress, anxiety builds up,
Yeah.
and there's a lot that you have to deal with. There's a lot that you're carrying. What is something that you do that helps keep you calm, even keel, that helps you maintain your sharpness each day?
I don't know, man. I feel like we live in such high stress situations, like, all the time, that like we can operate, you know what I mean? Does that make sense? So we can operate like at a very high stress level, and it's not stressful after a certain amount of time, especially when things are late. You can't make this payment, like this goes wrong, blah blah blah. So then when it's like, oh, that window is a little crooked, you're like, oh, whatever, we'll take care of that. It's not
Yeah.
a big deal. It's not the end of the world. Or we got to go backwards a little bit. We got to move this sconce here or there. It's like, okay, well, I guess we didn't find the grenade in the ground, or like there wasn't a snake in the wall, so that's cool. Because snakes really make very poor insulation, so you want to keep them out of the wall. There's much better stuff. But yeah, I mean that, and then like I always know that like I'm gonna be back on top, right? Like even if something's wrong or I have setbacks, like I always know that there's nothing that won't keep me from like going, you know what I mean, like ascending up.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that mentality, if you have that and you know that you'll always succeed, because like you may not be succeeding at the moment, but that doesn't mean that's the finality of it. Like it's like you're going to, like you keep going, and you're going to come out on top. I don't care if your credit gets trashed, or like you lose all your funding, or like the foundation falls off a house. Like you just keep going, and everything will come back together, and you'll be successful.
Have you had a foundation fall off?
Dude, I almost had like a whole second story follow me. We were jacking up a house and like the whole side of it swung out. I mean, we built like a temporary wall or whatever, but it was such like an impact. If we hadn't taken that precaution on it, I mean, people would have been murdered. Like people would have died. But I mean, working on old houses can be dangerous, especially we're always jacking things up, and
of course.
Things are rotten and the foundations are down, and we're pulling off porches with, SUVs strapped to them. And I mean,
is that OSHA approved?
I mean, we use excavators, and you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
That's just a metaphor for for me not doing that. I've never done that.
Never done that.
Yeah,
It's just a story.
yeah.
Okay, so we talked about your first deal. Give me an example of like one of the worst deals that you've done. This could be something that you've invested in, or like a project that you did that went really bad.
I don't know. The worst deal that I've done. I haven't. Well, okay, all right, I got one. So
I knew there was something in there.
that house that we moved from South Union, right? You know that one? So we hire a mover. Love the guy. Like he's the best, right? So we hire him to move this house for us. And
The big brick one.
Big brick one. And we spent weeks like prepping it. We did all lots. He walked through it. He's like, move this, this is this. We reinforce this, like this area. And we did this for like months. And so when we move the house and we get it out to where it's going down a little dirt road, that he looked at, and through the woods, the house gets stuck like in the trees. Like it literally is. There's like a house stuck in the trees. We can't go. They're out there to like 2. But the thing was, so I had another house back there that I was renovating, and I was back there, and Bobby calls me. We rescheduled this thing like 3 times. He calls me. He's like, Adam, we're moving the house. So I'm like, okay, cool. I tell my father-in-law, and then I go back down to the house. I'm working on it, and then the house starts coming through, and the neighbors are like, they had the city cuts the power. They're supposed to send out a notice. They didn't send out a notice, and so the neighbors, they didn't know anything about it. I thought my father-in-law told them.
No.
He didn't tell them. The city didn't tell anybody the power is going to get cut, and so they get like really mad. And so one of the neighbors, he's like, you should sue the contractor and this and that to my father-in-law. And I'm like, well, I'm not even the contractor. And he's like telling me he's going to punch me in the face and cussing me out. And he like threatened to murder like my brother. And like, it was nuts.
Wow.
And like, that guy's crazy. And so then he starts up all the neighbors and he puts us on a group chat and he's just like trash talking us. Like, and so the neighbors are like, he's like, so-and-so, that's your land. Don't let them cut the tree down to get the house through. And nobody can get to their driveway. So this guy's just going like madness. So I try to smooth it out. And he's threatening me. So I have to stay nice because I have a house back there too. I can't get workers out there. And like we're filming a TV show. So people are supposed to come and see it and like film it. It was nuts. So I'm nice to the guy. And the house gets through. And I just block him immediately. I'm like, block. And so he was this guy was an animal. And so anyway, so the house gets through, but then we have to bring another house through, right? And so we need more trees cut because we bring them in sections, like sections of the houses. And it rains a little bit, like right before it comes.
Oh no.
So then the house gets stuck like in the mud because it's like a rock drive. So even though we've cleared most of the trees, and then there's some more trees we have to cut. And so the guy convinces the people who and there's like a 60-foot right of way. There's no reason we can't. But it was like on the weekend, we had permits to move this house.
Yeah.
And so we didn't have time for the sheriffs to come out and then like go to court and be like, oh, we have the right to cut these trees down because we did.
Yeah.
And so the only way the homeowners would not call the sheriffs is if we spent like 16 grand on the guy that's like giving us hell's like nephew to come and cut the trees down. Dude, that was the worst.
That sounds like a little bit of a bribe.
It was definitely a bribe. And then, it was nuts, man. And so then they made him sign a thing. So as my father-in-law paid it, and they made him sign a thing that said like even if we had the right, that we couldn't sue them. Before we were allowed to cut the trees, we had to sign a thing that's saying that we had acknowledged that we like waived the right to sue them if we were allowed to cut the trees the whole time. And we found out that we were allowed to the whole time.
Dude, that sucks.
Yeah.
That sucks.
So we don't talk to those people. They didn't get a Christmas card. That's for sure. We didn't give a Christmas card this year. They thought about it.
So that sounds like a little bit of a downer.
Yeah. And so then we put the house back together. So now, right now, it's being, we're on our PMEs, and it was just like, it was such a big, it's a huge project. We knew it was going to be a huge project, but we're on the upswing now. Like, it was bad. Yeah. That's been a rough one. So
I don't know anybody who has the I don't say the cojones.
Yeah.
To move a house that big.
Yeah,
You're
that
the only person that I know that would do something like that.
That thing's 5,000 square feet now.
It's huge. I walked through that house too. It was listed forever.
They might get mad when I say this, but so they'll be all in with like land and everything. I'd say probably like 800,000. Like when the house is done.
For a 5,000 square foot house.
5,000 square foot. And they have 30-something thousand acres. You know what I mean? I mean, not thousand. They have 30-something acres. I don't know why I said thousand.
Oh, wow.
So we had appraisal, and like when that house is done, the ARV on it, the after renovation value is going to be supposedly, you know how appraisals go.
Yeah.
But 1.5 million. And then the other house that we moved, all in, we were like 4, I think. And that thing appraised like 800.
It's crazy. And you get these houses for free.
I paid $1. We paid $1 for the big one, the real big one. Then I think I paid $3,000 for the other one.
Holy cow. How much does it cost to move a 5,000 square foot house?
I think,
And this is brick too. This is not like this is a wood frame.
yeah, to the mover, not including like site prep. I mean, you're probably like 140,000.
140,000.
Yeah,
So you basically bought a house and got it moved for $140,001.
yeah, and $1. Yeah, yeah,
5,000 square feet.
yeah.
Like
It
you
sounds
can't-
better because I mean, you
The house
gotta
was
think,
in rough shape.
Even on demo, I mean, we probably spent like including. So we had not we, but my father-in-law. He had to split the demo cost of whatever was left of the last house, and then we demoed that thing for like months and months and rot repair and like, you know, we put an 800 square foot addition on the thing, and like
You put 800 square feet on top of the 5,000 square feet.
I think it's 5,000 now, maybe. Yeah, it's 5,000 now. So it was because it had that dent on it. You remember when you walked through it, it had a rotten roof. Well, we just replaced, like we rebuilt that thing like to spec, like exactly how it was.
Did you do a basement with it or a crawl space?
No, we did a crawl, but I do like a 3.5, 4 foot crawl usually.
Yeah.
We do big crawls like when we do it because it doesn't cost that much more. Like if you're doing a crawl, to have it where people will show back up, like when you call a plumber or HVAC guy or whatever, you're gonna save money in the long run because like I can put, you know, water heaters down there. I can put all this stuff down there that's serviceable, but also people can get to it. They're not crawling through it.
Yeah.
But if I went and I put these things back on a crawl and they were, you know, like an standard old house, it was like, you know, we'll have like 2 foot crawls.
Yeah.
But once you hang your duct, then you do, you know, everything. There's no way to get through it really. So that is one thing. We'll always do a taller crawl when we do them.
The amount of houses that I've torn down that I could have moved.
If you have a place for it, but if you had a place for it, you wouldn't be tearing them down, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We should just buy a plot of land and we just move all of the houses that I'm going to tear down and move it all to it. We call it this new like village. Find a name for it.
If you could do it in a way where like, well, shotgun houses are like, you can move a shotgun house cheap. Like a small single story, like ranches, stuff like that. What I'm talking about is like 2-story, like all the houses I move are like 3,600 square feet.
And you've got like 3 or 4 sections of it, which is crazy.
If you could do it in one section, you're like $40,000 to move that thing.
Nice. So that sounds like you had a little bit of headaches, but overall, it's going to be
it's going to be awesome. I'm going to put up some like future event space signs, like on my way out. Just nice. So those people, they're like, oh.
What has been one of your favorite or best deals that you've done in the last couple of years?
My building. I like my building.
Which one is that?
The one on Spring Street.
Can you tell me about it?
I can tell you a little bit. I mean, it didn't really have many tenants in it, and we were losing money when we took it over. And that was a creative finance deal.
So this is it's commercial property.
Commercial property. We paid off like what he owed, and he got probably a little bit extra on it. And so then he was able to, you know, give us a promissory note. And we took it over, and we've just been making improvements on it. And so, I mean, I love that deal. And so it definitely cash flows now. I mean, but we're losing money. You know, we entered that property probably losing like $3 or $4 grand a month. And now I don't know the exact number, but I think the total rent rolls, I know it's over 15 or 16 grand.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And it's in a great location too.
And I think my total, like per monthly, I think it's under 8. So it's over 7 under.
That's a good deal.
It is a good deal, right?
Yeah.
But we don't touch any of that money. We just put it all back into the building.
Yeah. So you like commercial from a investment cash flow standpoint?
I love it. I mean, think about how many houses I'd have to get and like find tenants for and rent out and wait. Because a lot of the things I'm seeing in residential is like you're not really cash flow much like out the gate, right? I mean, are
Yeah.
you? Do you cash flow on that much on the houses? A couple $100, right?
Yeah, I mean, with today's interest rates, it makes it really hard for us to cash
Like
flow.
per house. But
Yeah.
I mean, I did one deal and it's cash flowing like thousands
Yeah.
of dollars.
The other thing is the barrier to entry for commercial is just so much higher. And
Right.
now there's so many gurus and people on social media that teaching people to wholesale, the Burr model, all this stuff. So it's a little bit more attainable. Commercial is kind of that next step up where
What I like about commercial, especially like owner finance, is there's so many like you drive past like so many empty commercial buildings like all the time, and typically it's like the same guy's owned it forever, and he doesn't want to sell it, like not because he doesn't want to sell it, but he doesn't want to pay taxes on it.
yeah,
You know, it's not even be rented out, but he's like, I paid it off forever ago. Like if I sell it, I have to like find something else or pay like
Yeah.
giant capital gains.
yeah,
And so that's why I think owner finance, like if I was gonna just focus on one thing, it'd be owner financing commercial, because I mean it's the biggest upswing. And like when you present somebody an offer, because they might think a building's like worth a crazy amount, right? And they're like, oh, here's a crazy number, right? With creative finance, the way that you present it to people, it's not like, oh, I'm buying it for $2 million and they're telling you they want 3. It's, hey, here's a package over 10 years that's worth 3.4 million. Here's why. And this is all the interest you're going to get in it.
yeah,
You know, we're going to keep you in at 5%. Here's what your equity is worth.
yeah,
You know, because these guys, they might give you like 5% interest rate. And it's like the money you save like over 10 years at a 5% versus 8-9%.
yeah,
Like, and you can structure it too, where like, if you sell within an amount of time, they get 1%.
Yeah.
And they like that too, because they're worried you're just going to get it and then sell it for a lot of money and walk
Right.
away. So it's like, hey, I could do that, but why would I? You know, because I'll make more if I hold on to it.
yeah.
Because,
Usually your sellers with commercial as well are a little bit more sophisticated than residential sellers.
yeah.
And so they're more open to creative deal structures like that. If you're pitching a homeowner,
Yeah.
hey, let me, do this seller finance deal. And we do seller finance deals all the time.
Sure.
But it's a lot harder to pitch that to a residential owner than it is somebody who's investing in commercial.
In all the seller finance deals that I've done, like residential, it's from like a landlord.
Yeah.
So same thing,
Yeah.
same principle. They understand it. And they're like, oh, well, I'm making X on my money. Why would I sell it? And then I have to find something to make, the 6% on the money. But if I say, hey, owner finance it to me, you're still going to get your money later, but we'll amortize it over 30 and we'll do
Yeah.
a 10-year balloon.
Yeah.
That's what I like. I like it over 30, 10-year balloon.
There's so many levers that you can pull with deal structuring like that. Interest rate, term,
Yeah.
balloon periods, all this stuff to really craft a fantastic deal for both you and the seller. So
And
I
think,
agree. I love commercial in
Yeah.
that regard.
And I think people get people buying, they get hyper focused on like one aspect of a deal. They're like, I have to pay this, and they don't even care about the rate. They're
Yeah.
like, they don't think about the rate. But I would rather get a low rate and like pay more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I would just do the math. I would be like, okay, this is where I want to be. Like on the monthly thing, this is how I'll cash flow it. Or I can exit at this, or you know what I mean? Like there's so many more like parts to the story than just what does it cost.
Yeah. So how would you classify your level of risk tolerance? Because it sounds like you're in a lot of different things.
Oh man. I think it's low now. I think I take way less risk than I used to now.
How so?
I don't know. I wouldn't go all in on one project.
Yeah.
I got to spread it out. And then I have other, I have things that make me money to like, if I'm like, have to, like, let's say I picked up a property, for example, right? I pick up a property, it's owner finance. I have to do work in it. I got to put 10 grand in it to get it rented out. And it only is going to rent for $1,200. It's going to cost me $1,000. But then if somebody moves out, my commercial property can sort of prop that up a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like I'm not pulling out of my personal thing. I can say, oh, well, instead of a new water heater, in this or whatever. I don't know, whatever I have plans, or like handrails.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, these are all things you have to give tenants. So something that you wouldn't have to give to tenants, like some you could put off. Landscaping, for instance. I would say we won't do the landscaping this month. We'll do, you know, I'll basically pay myself out, and then I'll roll into that. I mean, I have less risk. The more things you get, I mean, it seems like the less risk you have.
Yeah.
Right now, I mean.
So it sounds like you're more insulated because you have
I think so. Yeah, and
passive income from your commercials, from some residential things.
Yeah.
So it may not feel like it's more risky
That's true.
because your investing has become more sophisticated.
Yeah.
But starting out, do you feel like what was your level of risk tolerance?
Oh, anything. I mean, you could show me any old house, and I'd be like, dude, that's a cool old house. And it could not have been cool at all. I really wanted to own things, and like, honestly, I was addicted to the before and afters. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was like, I just want to see this house like go from this terrible thing to this showstopper, and like it was a little bit of an addiction. And I was like, this would be a really cool one because it's so bad. Like, this would impress people.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, I don't care. Like, I'll make anything look good. So I don't really think I have anything to prove. Like, it's gonna look good. And my wife designs all this stuff, so that's an easy one too, because I'm gonna look good automatically because she's talented, right? So I mean, that's true though. It's like everybody's like, "Oh, old house out of me is so like these designs are so good," but I don't design any of them. You know, I'm really good at getting from point A to point B, but
she gives you the plan.
Yeah, and I don't question it anymore. Used to be I'd question it. Now I'm like, how can we do it for less? How can we get the same look?
It sounds like it's a great
cheaper
partnership that you guys have together.
Yeah, because what do I care at the end of the day if like my feelings get like hurt because I couldn't pick a chandelier? I don't care. Like,
yeah.
But she's typically like she knows the style. She knows what the buyer wants, or the style of the home, and it just makes a lot more sense for me to focus on the things I do well and let her do the things she does well than me like jump over and be like, you know what, like, let's stain this instead of paint it, or let's paint it instead of stain it. It doesn't. It's gonna look good, with whatever. We've never been in a position where like she's steered us wrong. I mean,
we're remodeling a house right now for us, like our personal home, and I'll be walking through with my contractor, and he'll say, "Hey, what do you want to do here? What's the plan for this? What's the plan for this?" And I'm like, "I think we're doing this," and he gives me that look that it's like him and I both know that I'm not the one making the decision. He looks at me like this, and I'm like, okay. I immediately pick up my phone and call Christy.
Yeah,
like, hey, we're here, in the bathroom. What's the plan for this? And she either whatever she says goes, but I trust her explicitly.
But that's why I'm so good with clients. That's why we're good with clients, because I've had one. The most, I guess she's not hard. Like, she's not a hard client, but like very specific.
Yeah.
And so it's like when people are like, I want to do this very like thing that you go to a normal contract and they're like, oh, well, normally we do it like this. This is how everybody does it. You have to do it like this. You can't do it like that. And I'm like, all right, let's figure it out. We'll do it.
Yeah.
And the, as long as it's executed properly, I mean, that's what matters.
Yeah.
So, but that's why, we don't just come in and say, okay, we're just going to do, the thing everybody does, or we're only going to go shop at Lowe's, like, or you have to go through like kitchen and bath XYZ or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm like,
does Jessica help you in the design for your clients, or
yeah. I mean, they love it. I mean, so that's, sometimes people contact us just so Jessica can design it. Like, we've got, I think, like 3 clients right now where they just contacted us because they want Jessica to design it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Makes it easy on you.
Yeah, we had one come through on her Instagram like a few days ago.
Yeah.
And it's like incredible house. Like,
wow. What are some of the most strategic relationships you have that have gotten you to where you are today? They could be financial, because obviously you get to this certain point and there's key relationships that you develop.
Yeah.
What have been the ones that have been like the most strategic?
Man, I mean, I don't know. I have really good subs. Let me think on that one. So the most strategic. I mean, everybody's got their money guy. You got your money guys. I got my money guys. I really like mine. Um, strategic. I don't know. What's yours?
Oh, so many.
I know. Yeah.
You realize the more I progress in business, the more I recognize the fact that like there's none of this that I could do on my own.
Yeah, that's true.
And you're just propped up by so many other individuals that are a key part of your success as an investor, business owner. And so I just like hearing what other people have, who they can recognize as being key people that have helped them get where they are today.
Yeah, I think I don't know if it's like I have a lot of people that like really help me out. Like I get slamming deals on this and that, and people come to my rescue. You know, I've had great mentors, but like at the end of the day, like I have a lot of social proof. Like what you were talking about with the social media, like that is probably my biggest advantage. Like over anybody in the market is people, they know who I am. I think it's like when we bought that property in Salisbury, like the mayor showed up and like this giant group of people, like just in the front yard, just to welcome us because. Because we're posting on social media and, I have access to people that I think I probably wouldn't, or if I have an issue with the brand or, they send me some BS or I have a complaint.
Yeah.
Like they're going to answer my complaint. They're going to talk to me.
Yeah.
Because,
thanks TikTok.
Yeah. I'll be like, hey, my stove hadn't arrived yet, and we want to review it. Like, that's why we need it really fast. And they're like, oh, I'm so sorry. Let's make sure you get that out this week. We're 5 weeks behind, but we'll make sure you get yours.
Oh wow.
Like it's like I try not to lean on it, like to be like a jerk. Like I'm never a jerk about it. Like I have a rule, I never like will trash anybody on social. Like you'll never see me like badmouth anybody on social media, like ever. But I only use it to help others or help my projects.
Yeah.
So
it's great.
Yeah.
So looking back on your career, obviously you have a successful career in real estate and it's continuing to grow. How has it changed your life?
Freedom, I think. I mean, we work all the time. I mean, it's like, even though I'm not on the job site, I'm still getting permits, planning this. Like even at night, I'm on my phone all the time, but I'm around my kids. I'm around my wife. I'm making dinner. I'm, waking up. I'm taking the kids to school. I think I don't know. I think I live in a very blessed life, and the fact that I know it and like the people around me know it and they see it and they appreciate it. I mean, I think that's probably the biggest thing that I never would have had, with the screen printing. Dude, I was miserable. It was like depressing, like printing t-shirts. And now I feel like, I mean, I don't really yell anymore. Like I was yelling all the time because it's like, it's crazy. It was like high stress over, and now like, I'm like, it was just t-shirts. Like I was stressed out like all this time over t-shirts. Like it's ridiculous. It's like, I should have just been people that are like, Adam, this thing's misspelled wrong. I'd be like, dude, it's just t-shirts, But that's what I say sometimes. I'll be like, it's just t-shirts. Like when I'm at a house and people, and I should be really upset. I'll be like, it's just t-shirts.
Yeah.
Because like, I don't know, people would give me things and then they'd be mad that like the thing was wrong that they gave me. And I'm like, they're like, you didn't spell check it. I'm like, no, I printed it. Like you gave me art and I printed it. And you misspelt your business name wrong. Like, how is that my fault? And so it was like, I would have people like dispute charges on a card because they like gave me names, like family members' names misspelled. Like I'd never met these people in my life.
No.
And the family member was like, you shouldn't pay them or whatever. They dispute the charges.
Oh gosh.
Dude, it was I hated it. I mean, I liked it at first, and then it's like we grew, like we got really big, and then like, it was hard, it was stressful.
So I want to unpack that just a little bit more because you said that you were yelling all the time, you were angry,
Yeah.
it was depressing, but now you feel like there's a lot more freedom that you have. You're around your family more. Like, what's the cause of that change?
Oh man. Well, I also don't drink anymore. I think that's a big one.
I mean, that's pretty big.
Yeah. So I mean, I haven't drank in 4 years. So that's probably why I don't yell or I'm not as stressed anymore.
Was that a conscious decision that you made?
Yeah, I didn't technically. I mean, I didn't have a drinking problem or anything. Like I wasn't like I might have. You know what? I didn't quit because I thought I had a drinking problem. But looking back, I'm like, well, you know, I had a bottle of Peppy Van Winkle in my desk, like that I would take desk shots. That's probably not like a normal thing in most offices, right? Like it's not Mad Men. Like it's not. You know,
At least you had good taste.
yeah, and then I'd have like, you know, I still had job sites back then, even though I was running the screen print thing, and I would hide bottles about, yeah, I guess I did have a drinking problem. Is that you see me like in real time realizing, like, oh yeah, I had to take a sip of whiskey to, you know.
You have to go retroactively do AA.
Yeah. No, but I don't crave that at all. I mean,
Well, that's awesome. 4 years
Yeah,
and
4
you haven't
years.
had a drink.
No.
And so you've seen a noticeable change.
Dude, it's yeah. I mean, like depression and look, because you know, my family has a very serious thing of depression, but we also don't handle substances well. So, like, you know, my brother, you know, drank and took pills, and he took his life. And even I quit drinking even before that. I tried to convince him to quit drinking, and I just don't think. I mean, I don't know. Some people can probably handle it. I don't think me or like what I've been through, or I just don't think it's healthy for me. So I think my career now is healthy. I think my mentality about life is healthy. I think, you know, my relationship with God is healthy. I think what else? I mean, my diet's healthier. I mean, I still sneak like, you know, we'll eat all organic, and then I'm like a bag of potato chips at night. You know, but they were fried in avocado oil, right? Is that, I don't know.
It's healthier.
I can't tell, man. It's so confusing on that food stuff. But no, I think definitely healthier. And I hate that Sour Patch Kids aren't healthy. Like, I think we need to, like, as a society, like, figure out how to make Sour Patch Kids like healthy. Like, that's gotta change.
That sounds like something you should leverage your TikTok for.
Yeah,
Reach out to Sour Patch.
Sour Patch Kids. So, what Giggles? You ever had Giggles? They have sour Giggles. They're like fake sour Skittles. Those things are addictive.
Oof,
They're amazing. They're all organic. Good.
it's good. I'll have to try it.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you coming out. Is there anything else you want to leave?
What? Do you finish your list?
I don't have any more questions.
I got questions for you.
Oh yeah. What are your
How
questions?
many properties do you have now? Like rentals, total rentals.
Geez. I'm at 48 right now.
You're at 40. I thought you'd be more than that. Because your goal is 100, right?
Yeah, we have a lot of build to rents in the pipeline. So land that we own that's in development, it'll be well over 100, but that's still.
So if you could go
decent.
back, like when you started, and you wanted 100 when you started, or like you were like, I want 100 rental properties.
I think it's always been this like arbitrary number that I've had of like, I want to own 100 rentals.
Yeah,
But I
but
think
you could just like really try very hard. Like, why don't you just try very hard and build one commercial building with 100 units in it?
I know, and that's the crazy thing that happens is when you start getting into this industry and you see the potential in different asset classes. Like, you don't want to be chasing the shiny object. And it's very easy to do that because you see guys crushing it in warehouse or storage or multifamily or whatever it is. And so some of that can eclipse the success that I've had in residential rentals.
Yeah.
So part of me, I want to finish and stay that course because it's a proven method to build financial freedom. It's done really well for me and my family, my business. So I want to see that through to the end. We have the means to do it.
Yeah.
And we should hit that here within the next 2 years.
So if you have 100 rentals, then you just turn around and you're like, I'm gonna build one giant. Because let's say, because I've looked into it. We looked at on our property, like tearing it down,
Mhm.
and like I think how many was that? It was like 50 that we could just do right out the gate.
Like residential units.
Yeah,
like
just
a,
they
like
were
a
like,
high-rise.
and it was like,
Yeah.
it was like you bring the equity of the land, and we will build this thing. Like we'd be the GP on it,
Yeah.
the general partner, and then the liquidity partner is like the limited partner. But it almost seems too easy.
Yeah.
Like it almost seems too easy because
Somebody
they're like,
somebody told me about how like their investing career, it feels a lot like a flywheel
yeah,
where it's a lot of effort to get things moving, or that snowball. It's another similar picture. It's a lot of effort to get that first little bit packed and put together, and
Yeah.
there's so much effort in doing that. But then all of a sudden you just keep rolling it. It keeps getting
Yeah.
bigger and bigger, and it just gets easier and easier to grow and snowball, or like the flywheel. It doesn't take as much effort to keep that flywheel going. And I could easily see you accumulate this massive residential portfolio, but then all of a sudden it's like, hey, you can sell off a good chunk of those 1031 into something bigger. It just gives you a lot of flexibility, a lot of options. So I'd rather stick with some like the things that we have now that are working. I don't want to pivot off and like try to start over in a
No, I
new asset
understand.
class. Let me finish this out with the stuff that we are working on, get it stabilized, and then in tandem to that, we can still be looking at other asset classes. Like, we bought a storage facility and did a mobile home park. Like, there's other things that
Do you
we
still
have.
own the storage facility?
Yeah, I do.
How's that doing for you?
It's great. I mean, it's
Commercial, man. I'm
is,
telling
yeah.
you, I don't know.
Our occupancy rate is struggling. I think we're
Is
only
it?
at like 57 or 58%, but like we're cash flow positive. We're making money on it. I really like
Has
it.
anybody tried to squat in there yet?
Not that I know of.
No.
I hope not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw a guy living in the storage unit on TikTok.
We did find a coffin in there. That was one of my good
Oh,
finds.
did you?
Yeah.
Well, you got some for later. I mean, that's like it's long-term hold, hopefully.
The cool thing about that one is we have space in the back to expand.
Yeah.
So we'll probably add in contractor garages or something like
Yeah.
that. So
Well, like boat storage and RV storage is huge too.
yeah. I had somebody call me and they're like, "Do you have storage for cars?" And we don't have storage for cars. And I just said, yes, yes, we do. There's like a little grassy patch over on the side. And he's like, "How much do you charge for that?" I'm like, $50 a month. He's like, "Okay, that's fine. How do I set up an account?" And I'm like, "This is easy." Just because it's a storage facility, and it's, there's a gate around it and security cameras, all that stuff. People park their cars. And he's been there for 8-9 months now.
How many of those?
$50 a month?
Just one?
Just one. But I went and created like a unit class for cars. I've got one more spot that I could fit a car. But it's pretty cool.
That's cool. Yeah, I want to do micro storage, just almost closet size, like storage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where would you do that? Your
I
commercial
did
place?
downtown. I thought about doing it downtown because you have all these apartments they're building.
Yeah.
These big cities, and it's like they don't have any closets. Like so you just rent out like closets to people. Just do it. And then I was like, you could do an app. You just rent out whatever you want. And then I'm like, oh,
Rent a closet. It's
yeah,
like the
rent your
Uber for
trunk. You rent out your
renting
trunk,
closets.
people. You just end up like somebody hides drugs in your stuff, I guess.
Nice.
No, but yeah, so like micro storage, I think would be the storage downtown in general. I mean, I think
There's not much down there.
There's not much.
I think my facility is the closest storage facility to downtown.
Which one? Where is it?
It's off 73.
Okay. Yeah, there's no storage, but yeah. What else I got for you? Yeah, so you like residential, you don't like commercial, even though
I do like
it seems
commercial.
like
I do.
But it seems like your commercial deals sound better. Are they better? Do you think your commercial deals are better than your residential?
On paper, yes. Because you've got the numbers are just bigger and it's all in one location.
True. Yeah.
They're just harder to come by. They're
That
fewer
is
and far between. And I think we have a system.
Do you reach out? Do you reach out to people like commercial, or you just stumble on those?
I would say now it's more stumbling across than it is like intentionally reaching out to people.
Because you have people that contact people all the time, right?
Yeah, we've got a team.
And how often you're just somewhere and somebody walks up to you like, "You buy that? I got something I'll sell you." You come across stuff like that
When we're out like walking or
yeah, just in general, like you stumble on a lot of deals too, right?
Oh yeah,
Like people, you'll just be talking to someone and they'll be like, "I'll sell you this thing."
like I bought some bull horns when I was at somebody's house.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, she was selling the property, and I was like, "Is everything for sale?" She's like, "Everything."
everything.
I'm like, "Even those horns up there?" And she's like, "Even the horns." It's like, "How much would you sell these horns for?"
Yeah.
And we made a deal of $50 for these like massive, 4 foot, 5 foot wide bull horns.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Would you ever partner with a like homeowner? Like let's say like I own a piece of property, right? And I'm like, you're like, "Hey Adam, like just like let me, I don't know. Would you be like, because I've thought in the past, I'm like, an easy way to like build a house, because once you own the house, right? And you get a vertical ready, like you just put a foundation. I have equipment, I could just put a foundation down.
Yeah.
Then the bank will loan against it. So why wouldn't you just go to a homeowner and be like, let me put a foundation down and like be a part of this deal and like owner finance me?
I mean, when we're pitching to purchase land,
Yeah.
we always have a cash price and then there's like a finance price. So there's two different options.
But you never bring them into a thing or give them any kind of like
No.
kickback? Why is that? You just think it's sloppy?
We've never needed to. Mostly just because our system is pretty dialed in,
Yeah.
and it's cleaner that way. And I don't know, there's probably some level of risk with doing that, because they may have expectations that they're going to make
Oh yeah.
more money than what we're actually willing to give them.
Yeah.
Or I don't know. I prefer to keep things clean and separate.
I remember the first time we ever talked about social media stuff. I was like, you should start doing social media.
Yeah.
You remember what you said?
What did I say?
You're like, I don't want to be a public person. Like, it was like at the house that I was flipping. I was like, dude, you'd be perfect. I was like, you'd be great. I could totally see you.
I know.
I was like, it'd be great for you.
That's always been my mentality. I wanted to just fly under the radar and just build my portfolio.
Yeah.
And almost like nobody knows my name. But what I've seen in the past really 2 years, since we've really invested a lot into social media and growing a brand, is there's so much opportunity to bring people into your world, to like raise them up to and you raise up together.
Yeah.
So in a sense, like me saying that I just wanted to fly under the radar and just nobody knows who I am, but be really successful, it was kind of selfish.
It is. It is, because you're like a beautiful peacock with your wings clipped. You couldn't open them up. I'm serious. Like, because think about it. I've seen people that you've inspired, and they got into real estate because you were like, it is a thing that you can do. I did it. Like, I was working at a gym, and now boom, look, I got all these people and like a fancy studio with, metallic squares on the wall. And I think it is true. Like, if you have the mentality of like, oh, I just have to be, better at 100 people in a room at one thing, and I'll be successful. Like, I just figure that thing out.
Yeah.
And for you and I, it's like real estate or social media or,
Yeah.
fixing up houses.
It is cool seeing the feedback from people on social media. But we have a Bible study at our office every Thursday, and a lot of the guys that come to that are all contractors or subs or guys that I know from my industry. And even that is just such a cool place where I wouldn't be able to be sitting down with these people every week if it wasn't for the fact that I stepped out, took the risk, and started posting. And it's awkward at first.
How long did it take you to like get over the hate, like get over the mean comments? Did you ever like sit up and you're like, man, that really got me? Like,
dude, I was a firefighter for 3 years in Kansas City, and I was basically the rookie for 3 years.
Okay.
And I get so much crap as a rookie. You're the lowest guy on the totem pole. You're constantly getting pranked, and people are, saying stuff, but they wouldn't say that to you if they didn't at least like you.
That's true.
And when people are saying that kind of stuff to your face, you just develop some pretty thick skin.
Yeah.
And so this stuff just doesn't bother me.
I think it's hilarious.
It is hilarious. I love it.
Do you ever bait people into like trying to get people to say like mean things? Because I have.
Yeah.
And when it works out, it's like, so like, it's just, I don't know. It's almost more fun sometimes.
Oh, it's so fun. Just poking the bear a little bit because
Yeah.
it helps drive your engagement too.
It does.
Yeah.
And they don't realize, they're like, I hate you so much. I want you to fail. And it's like, you just like literally like gave me a couple of extra 100 people that are going to see this. Thank you.
That's awesome.
I love you too.
All right. If you guys want to follow Adam, how do they get to you?
It's just old House Adam, all platforms. You know, we just search it. Except Facebook, there's a bunch of fake.
Oh.
House Adam Olds, Old House Adam.
Oh.
Yeah, there's lots. I've shut down a bunch of. I bet you have fake. Have you ever seen if you have fake Facebook accounts?
I think we haven't looked on Facebook.
Dude,
I don't know.
I had a fake account. Like I can't break like 300 followers on Facebook for some reason. But I've had like fake accounts. Like I have fake accounts that have had like 700,000 followers and like 400,000. I shut them down, but I let them get a little big. Like I let them get big and just squash them down.
It's like a game.
Yeah,
All right.
there's one right now with 114,000. I got to come after him. So,
This was fun. Thanks for coming out,
man.
It's good talking.
Good to see you.
Old House Adam.